Randy Gregory, the never-ending story, right? One can argue that the guy do not deserve to play in the National Football League. Others can argue and say, hey, he was railroaded, he was done wrong, and he didn't speak out early enough. But fair is fair, what have you. Policies are policies, rules are rules, or what have you. But when I put that booty in there, people got to understand that's a big old booty. But this brother, you can start looking at other cases and other situations and other scenarios and say to yourself, man, we've been watching NFL long enough to see the Dante Stallworths of the world, right? The Josh Brents. I believe they actually killed somebody, perished, no longer life on this earth. And they was given the honor and the opportunity to play this same sport, football. We've seen people with DV, that's domestic violence, being accused for crazy crimes, and also being in the wrong place at the wrong time or what have you, and ultimately for those guys to play. Now, with the curious case of Randy Gregory, never seen an arrest report, never seen this guy for domestic violence. Thank God he never killed anyone, never even been affiliated with DUIs or anything like that. And he is the one that's getting railroaded. On top of that, just to add this extra sauce to everything, he pretty much said it's not even ultimately the NFL. It's his representative, the NFLPA. That what makes this thing even crazier, right? Now, he's finally speaking out against it, which I can say that's a benefit for him. Squeaky wheel gets the oil or what have you. Also, we do know like the empty wagon gets make a lot of noise, but that's a story of a different day. When I'm thinking of Randy Gregory, I'm looking at, yes, the guy had his transgressions going into the NFL. We knew of the bipolarism that later came out in his career, but a lot of us not dealing with those things, right? So you would think that the NFL would at least count that as, hey, this guy self-medicated. He did what he thought what was best, although it goes against our guidelines and policies, so that we can't be, insensitive to the situation. We have to judge him accordingly, especially if you have a doctor's note and beyond. Now, I do know that we are living in crazy times, right? With the COVID and the virus, what have you, and social distancing and all of those other things, right? And will that be a game? Will it not be a game? NFL game? Will it not be an NFL game? All of those things, as we try to corral our minds to what's going on with these days and times, right? But I can say this one thing. The NFL do what they want to do. They set forth guidelines and policies to sit on certain players opposed to others, right? And like I said in my previous video when we was rapping about this, the constant battle between Roger Goodell and Jerry Wayne Jones, right? That's the constant battle that would never end, like a never-ending story. This thing with Randy Gregory, the NFL needs to just wash their hands and let this brother play. I'm not here to beg or anything, but I'm just here to explain. And I'm not complaining. This guy, basically, that, all of this rulings as it relates to marijuana and being able to play and not, being, suspended or what have you because you tested positive for it. You can argue and say, man, that's really the Randy Gregory rule, right? You can throw in Gordon, what have you. We know his skill set and beyond, and we've seen the numerous opportunities that he was granted. But this Randy Gregory situation, they need to sit back and open up their eyes and see what this guy is crying out for. Like I said, it's not like he's out there robbing, killing, beating up his lady or what have you, or getting into bar fights or what have you, showing up on the arrest report. This is Randy Gregory. I mean, good Lord, they need to figure out a way to just sweep all of this stuff under the rug and let this boy play some football. And speaking of that, we know that training camp is pretty much already in the workings. I think the veterans are going to put on their pads next week, or it could be this Friday, believe it or not. Why not? Let's go ahead and get this guy reinstated so that he can be with his contemporaries, so that he can get the playbook and everything going. Because ultimately, there's nowhere else to go. There's no other provisions that you will have to put out there. And why slow this guy's preparation? I tell people all the time, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Let this brother be prepared and ready so he can start the NFL season. Don't you guys know that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar? It will be wise for the NFL to go ahead and reinstate this brother so that you guys can have a written guidelines of, hey, this is where we were wrong at. This is where we misjudged or misguided on these type of topics. Because 15 to 20 years from now, it's going to be foolish when people start saying, man, can you believe that they were suspending players for marijuana? When they find out this thing can cure this or this thing can help L on these type of elements and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying out there for the young and the youth to go out there and roll a J. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that there's research and data that shows and support that this guy had bipolarism and this guy self-medicated or through injuries and beyond, even what David Irvin was talking about, plants over pills. If NFL ever get hit with a big, massive lawsuit, it won't be looking cute for them to have these type of rulings out there. Now, I'm not 1,000% right on these type of topics, and I know that some of these things can be politically charged or what have you. But all I can tell everybody is this right here. We're ready for some football. We tired of this political mumbo-jumbo type of stuff. All right, so in other news, I just got to throw this out there. The Cowboys elevated Jon'Vea Johnson off the COVID list and reserve list, and now he's going to be able to play, right? He can show his grain of salt. I think he wears number 81. It's a cold number, by the way. Now, he got tons and mounts of pressure about himself, right? But he's still a 4-3 guy. Speed is speed. And if you need somebody to take the top off the defense, maybe, just maybe, he can be that guy. And I think they elevated Savion Smith too. So what I'm saying is that, yes, these players do get this COVID or what have you. It's not a death sentence, like I said earlier in my previous videos. But when you really think about everything, 2 weeks is not that bad. 3 weeks at the most is not that bad. So if the NFL can figure out a system that's in place for these guys to be on their reserve list, like we seeing, and they come back and they stay healthy, that could be the situation that we're facing throughout this entire year. Now, I will say this. I can't wait to see him practice. I can't wait to see him out there and grinding, because steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron, of course. And speed is everything, especially I'm talking about Jon'Vea Johnson, right? And of course, we got high hopes and high expectations for Amari Cooper, Gallup, and the CD, TD, Sedarian Lamb, even my dog, Cedric Wilson. Don't sleep on him. This team, the wide receiver core, is good. It's one of those things where I can sit back and relax. Maybe sip on me some Mai Tais or what have you. Now, the defensive side of the ball, Savion Smith or what have you, I think that they kept it, right? Y'all let me know. I could be off on that. I like it because, yes, he can be a special teams guy. He played for Alabama, Roll Tide, right? So I'm thinking that he knows that competition is around him, and I think that he can understand that, okay, let's see what he can do when the pads put on and things like that. I'm thinking, did they elevate him? Help me out. Help me out with that, Cowboy Nation. So with everything being said, free Randy Gregory. Shout out to Jon'Vea Johnson for being elevated back to the team or what have you. Remember your journey, your path, your mind, and everything else starts right here. You got to earn your way, keep your way on this team because, man, competition is stronger than ever, right? And the coach's job, believe it or not, Cowboy Nation, and the NFL players that's listening, the job is to replace you. So I know a lot of people want to talk about the Deion Sanders situation, and I'm going to bring that up on my next video. But before I go, I'm going to tell everybody what Deion Sanders was saying is 1,000,000% right. This game will continue to go with or without you. The coach's job, the number one job, is for them to replace you. Not fall in love, not show favoritism, but to replace you. And if somebody could be delivering package for UPS and all of a sudden find a way to make a team, and they're looking at the cost analysis and they're looking at what the production is on the field, they will replace you. That's the reality of it. We can't get coy with it. We can't get personal with it. That's the truth. Good coaches figure out ways to replace you regardless. That goes for Dak Prescott, Ezekiel, the main man, Elliott, Zach Martin, everybody. The coach's job is to replace you after they try to elevate you, right? Remember, coaches elevate, right? But if they can't train and elevate you, then they got to replace you. That's the reality of it. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. Don't forget to hit that like button. Share this content. Let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboy Sports Talk and Beyond. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's go. Let's go get that Super Bowl. Let's go get these things. Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established, right? Speak these things into existence. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's go. Let's go.